What discontinued thing do you really want brought back? Story 1. Everything not being a subscription. I'd love to buy something and own it, not pay every damn month to use the stuff in my own house. At this point, I don't even know how to buy digital music anymore. Not even kidding. Edit. I don't own any Apple devices, and when I did have iTunes years ago on my Windows computer, I lost around $400 worth of music, and iTunes support said there was nothing they could do to help me recover it. I tried the Amazon app on my Android phone, not Amazon Music, but when I go to purchase a song, it tells me that it's not available for purchase on my device. My Windows laptop isn't great, and my Pixelbook literally just broke a few days ago. The screen just decided to stop working. I am seeing car manufacturers switch to subscription models for some of their premium features. Yeah, I've got the premium stereo system. No, it's never going to need updating or repair, ever. Ongoing maintenance on a car radio is horse crap, so subscribing to a car radio as a service is also horse crap. Story 2. When did you win a free Coke from the plastic bottle cap? Those were the best. Or the McDonald's Monopoly game when you could win free fries or something. Now they want you to enter a code on their website or scan a QR code and get points for whatever. Story 3. Products that were meant to last and not broken or obsolete in 1 or 2 years. I have my parents' original fridge that is about 40 years old. When Dad upgraded, I took it. Runs perfectly fine. He has had to replace or repair his every 10 years, especially clothing. These days I'm paying $30 on average for a top that begins to fray after 2 washes. That is literally unacceptable, and hardly anyone seems to be talking about this. I've recently adopted some of my father's hand-me-downs from the 1980s, and it's like they're brand new. The difference in fabric quality is insane, even when it comes to basic t-shirts. Story 4. Old Cartoon Network. Does anyone remember the Cartoon Network website that had all the games on it related to the various cartoons? I can't remember any of the games, but I spent hours playing. And I'd like that back, please, without any adult responsibility. Basically, I'd like a time machine. Story 5. Remember when you used to be able to fill out that sheet of paper with how many books you read, and then you reached a certain number of books and you got a free pizza? That. I want that back. Story 6. MTV. The one with the music videos. Younger people just have no idea how important MTV was. It was literally the only place where you were going to hear shit that wasn't on the radio. In the 80s and early 90s, with no internet, you couldn't really experience new music that wasn't on the radio. And if you grew up in a small town, you probably didn't have a cool radio station to listen to. 120 Minutes. Yo, MTV Raps. Headbangers Ball, and a bunch of others. You literally would never hear the music they played unless you could buy tapes for random bands you have never heard of. MTV diversified the music taste of millions of people and is sadly now remembered for random bullshit. Story 7. Altoid Sours. Loved those so much and still use the little tins to store random things. I would do unspeakable things for a fresh tin of those tangerine pieces of heaven. Story 8. New episodes of old cartoons. Regardless how old I will be, cartoons still rock for me. I'm 62 years old and watch cartoons every day. I have for years and years. No shame here. Now that I have grandchildren, it makes cartoons even better. Story 9. Borders bookstores. I missed the hell out of Borders. Used to hang out with a chai and browse and read. Found a lot of books I never would have bought otherwise. There's no way to replace that with online. At least Barnes & Noble is still here for the time being. Story 10. Surprises in the cereal boxes. Not the enter 2 codes inside our website bull. Actual physical things in a package floating somewhere in that box of Cheerios. This year, my son got a spoon and a box of Rice Krispies. It has the characters on the handle and it changes colors in the cold milk. I couldn't believe it. Many years ago, my father loved buying those massive bags of puffed barley and wheat. They always came with super detailed toy cowboys and soldiers that were quite large. Loved those. Story 11. The Philadelphia cheesecake bars. I love the strawberry ones. I can't remember if there were other flavors. This just triggered one of my earliest memories as a 5-year-old sharing a strawberry cheesecake bar with my childhood best friend. I remember it was such a treat since my family didn't have any sweets in the house. Then one day Aldi stopped selling them and we no longer had them. Now that I'm an adult, I have to find these things. Please, God, If someone knows where, let me know. Story 12. Pizza Hut had this dessert called Hershey's Dippers, which were basically just chocolate breadsticks with hot Hershey dipping sauce. I miss those every day of my life. Man, the dessert pizzas too. I can't tell you how much I miss a thin crust with apples and ribbons of icing. Story 13. The sobe elixir drink. I miss my lizard juice so much. In my state, it is impossible to find if they're still selling it. Story 14. The way it felt in the 80s and 90s when you were out with your friends playing Manhunt way past dark and your parents were cool with it. And you went home to play some NES or watch some movies with the whole fam after possibly stopping at Blockbuster. Also the way Little Caesar's pizza used to be back then. Dude, the long cardboard pizza tray wrapped in paper. When you tear open the Little Caesar's goodness, smell filled the room. Oh, the 90s. How I miss you. Story 15. Jelly jar juice glasses. In the 1980s and maybe early 90s, my family acquired a few sets, Dinosaurs and Tom and Jerry. They were the perfect size for kids to use, and the different designs helped us keep track of whose were whose. Mine was the pterodactyl. I don't know why they stopped being made. Seems like Pokemon and Star Wars would be great co-branding opportunities. Story 16. Butterfinger. It isn't discontinued, but I wish Pharaoh would go back to the original Nestle recipe. It tastes like I dropped a Butterfinger in a pile of sawdust and let it sit there until it expired and then ate it. No similar product can really compare to the original Butterfinger. Story 17. Clothes. I hate fashion. I hate stuff I like is no longer sold due to it not being fashionable. I used to have a pair of black suede shoes similar to deck shoes, but with a fairly chunky sole. I wore them everywhere and loved them. I went to buy a replacement pair and couldn't find them. 16 years later, and I still seek out a pair. These are the closest I found, but they are out of stock and were 200 pounds. So, well above what I would pay for a pair. I've worn the same style of shoes for 16 years, but I'd happily ditch them for a reasonably priced pair of the shoes I used to have. It's got so annoying that when I find an item of clothing I like, I buy more than one of them. I finally found some plain black, reasonably priced cotton jumpers last year, so I bought 2 or 3. It's not fair having to traipse around physical shops and the internet for an item of clothing. Story 18. The era before TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Although some of these have brought people and whole communities together, there's an insanely dark side to all of it which I wouldn't wish any child would be able to access. The saddest part is they can, and if they can't, one of their friends might be able to. Even worse. Some random online predator can enter a child's room virtually without their parents' knowledge. I wish these companies would be held accountable for the harm they cause. Story 19. I'm not really into Dr. Pepper, but the berries and cream Dr. Pepper had a chokehold on me that no other soda has ever had. Also, smoothie Skittles and lime Skittles. Story 20. Bon Bon Candy. It's a brand. It was bought by another one. And the one they got bought out by only sells some of the hard candy and not any of the other ones. Holy shit, memory unlocked. I lived in Cheyenne, Wyoming during 7th grade, and my French class had a fundraiser to send a couple of students to friends, and we had to sell this candy. I took my box of candy home, and temptation took over. I opened a bag and tried one. I ended eating up all of my candy and not selling any. My mom had to cover the cost. I got in trouble, but man, that stuff was good. Story 21. Malls would be cool to make popular again, too. It really does something inside of me to see malls dying.